Hey everyone, this is Alex Dryzak with my MPA 545 Week 3 presentation. And so for this presentation, we're first going to look at Landsberger's article and how it's used in our book Collaborative Approaches to Resolving Conflict. And then we're also going to look at Landsberger's article itself, a final report on a research project in mediation. And then we're going to take that report and see where it's cited in other articles to see what kind of an impact Landsberger's writing has had in the mediation field and conflict resolution. So, when looking in our textbook, the three takeaways that I mainly got from the excerpt they took from Landsberger's article was mediating involves being persistent and patient with both sides of the negotiation. There needs to be knowledge of the subject from the mediator themselves, what both the discussion topic and what both either companies or organizations' mission statements and goals are, so they know what the end goal is for both of these organizations, what those end goals might be. And there's also this thought of being with. Now, being with is the idea that they're not trying to overrule an organization or pick one versus the other. It's being with both organizations and trying to help both of them advance instead of being seen as kind of this overruling power that just decides which one is right and which one is wrong. It's trying to find, as we said before in this class, a win-win solution. So when looking at Landsberger's article as itself and fully expanded than just what was taken and put in the textbook, what I really noticed and what was really expanded on was Landsberger's studies focused on what the mediators who were successful had versus who they were, instead of just looking at this mediator was successful because they were a director of a board of operations, they were a COO of this organization, so that it looked at what characteristics and what knowledge specifically these mediators had to solve the situations. So it's more of a taking the name off of the person and looking at what characteristics they showed, what knowledge that they needed, and it's kind of like in this picture where you see it's the faceless idea. It also expanded on the importance of reliability. There were a bunch of charts with a bunch of kind of complicated information on all these different rating scales, but what it was all rating and calculating was how reliable the mediator was. So that it showed me the importance of a mediator needing to be reliable both in knowledge, in personality, and reliable in that they're going to be seen as we're going to find the best solution for both of you here. So then we look at Landsberger's article and see if it had any impact in any recent articles or books involving conflict resolution. And I found this one that was called The Mediation Process, Practical Strategies for Resolving Conflict. It is a bigger book, but I was able to find the ebook through our Cal Baptist EBSCO host. And it's by Christopher W. Moore, and it is a long book that looks into the finding of conflict resolution, how it's been implemented, and part of that, how it's been implemented, involved Landsberger's article. The book first gave the same very similar list to what our conflict and resolution class textbook has, and it also went into expand on the idea of institutional credibility. So this involved a strong showing how much of an expert you are in the field and how important that can be in the mediation process. Not not as a person, but experience wise. So some of the ideas the book had was making brochures of past experiences in this service, not just negotiation, but overall just in work experience. It also said to offer examples and explanations of different disputes that had been mediated in this type of field, and then also presenting credentials, types of memberships, disclosing organizational funding sources to show that they're being paid by a neutral party and not from one side or the other. It really showed that showing you're an expert, that neutral in this whole negotiation is not just the first step, but also could be the most important step to actually reaching a resolution where both sides are going to be happy and progress. So, in closing this presentation, we saw from Landsberger's article and from Christopher Moore's book that in negotiation, Landsberger's article has really shown the importance of reflecting on impartiality, making sure you're showing both sides that you're willing to work for both sides to get a balanced and even result that'll both progress and lead to hopefully better future relationships so more deals can get done between the two or three or multiple organizations in this negotiation process. And also show the importance of being an expert in the specific knowledge. Before reading this chapter, I didn't know how important it was to really convey to your audience that you're an expert. I understood that it mattered to know about the topic, but it really is important to, in the beginning of the negotiation process, let both sides know and then remind them through the negotiation process that you are an expert. You know what you're talking about. You've dealt with this. You've dealt with this both personally in the past, working in this field, and also as a mediator, possibly. And it can really lead to a what we call a win-win negotiation process.